It is September 25th. Rolland Market Mashup. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. And yeah, the week of volatility continues. This market just can't make up its mind. Yesterday, it just seemed like it was all over the place, down, up, and then closed actually in the green. So that was pretty interesting. And then we have all kinds of things happening this morning. I mean, first off, all kinds of upgrades. Zillow got another upgrade, which is good to see. Mike, are you still in Zillow?
I went hard on Zillow when it dipped back under 100 with Dad's sentiment stuff. I couldn't help myself. So are they up this morning?
Yeah, I mean, they got an upgrade this morning along with Redfin. So
Leon must be just laughing at the bank. That kid is just chilling.
Yeah, and then Costco reported their quarterly earnings, and it seems like they had pretty impressive earnings, but their stock's down on the news. So that'll be an interesting thing to follow.
Impressive earnings are not enough these days. You need extraordinary earnings because of the valuations. Did you see William Hill, Dan?
William Hill.
Remember we talked about the UK gambling app that I talked about it about a week or two ago.
Oh yeah, is it popping?
2 takeover offers today.
Oh, so it's up huge.
Yeah.
What's the ticker?
WIMHY, because it's a British company.
Did you pick some up?
I did not. I told Mike you can't buy everything. You know?
Yeah, but you got to go with your conviction, Bob. Come on.
It's crazy because they're up 37% pre-market.
I'm annoyed we didn't get on that.
On only 1,200 shares of volume.
Don't be fooled by the volume because this stock trades heavy in the UK.
Oh, got you. So it's the move kind of already happened is what you're saying.
Right. I mean, basically, this is just taking the price in the UK and figuring out what it is in dollars.
Gotcha. And then, we got some drug companies that are back on the map this morning. AstraZeneca received partial immunity from the European Union. So they'll be an interesting one to follow. And then Novavax, which seems to pop up on the radar every single morning, they began their late stage trial of their COVID vaccine. So they have 10,000.
They're in phase 3 now also. So you've got a lot of companies now in phase 3, which is the final phase. So we're getting there.
We definitely are getting there. There's no doubt about that. And then I saw this morning that it seems like Europe's starting to get out of control with the coronavirus. So it sounds like Spain, France, some of these countries are back to almost where they were back in February, which is never a good sign.
I think, though, like I highlighted yesterday, even I was telling Dad before, I've been off the last few days. The season's changing. Like I've been talking to a lot of people feeling the same way. I don't think that's natural. Like, and if you look at the death data, it's not concerning. So I think this is not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be.
Well, Colorado's numbers have spiked again because of University of Colorado. Boulder has 1,200 cases at the school right now. And they've put in very strict restrictions on the students. And there's a lot of protesting going on about that.
Keep those kids at home ordering on buffs.
1,200 could turn into 10,000 in no time. I don't see how this thing doesn't spread like crazy. But I will say that I saw yesterday the Pac-12 voted that they're going to hold their season.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a good segue into Donkey Kong again because another upgrade. And, maybe that's only one of the few pure plays for a casino to hook up with again. Penn already has casinos. Maybe Donkey Kong also would be a good merger target for some of the big casinos like Las Vegas Sands or Wynn. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if they were looking at that as an opportunity and they could afford it, I think Las Vegas Sands buying DraftKings would be huge. And I guess the leverage, or not leverage, but what makes DraftKings a little bit more appealing is part of the reason Penn did the stock offering yesterday is they have all these casinos that are losing money by the day. And, I don't think DraftKings has that same overhead. So everyone's getting excited about Penn launching a sports betting app. They released some of their numbers yesterday out of Pennsylvania, which did seem pretty impressive. It's tough to really wrap your hands around it. I think they had like 30,000 people put money in the app in Pennsylvania, which is the only place it's available right now. And the average amount was like $250. So they had some volume go through the app. But when you think about it, they're way behind DraftKings, and they have the overhead of casinos. DraftKings is definitely the pure play there, even though I think the stock is kind of ahead of itself, but they continue to get upgrade after upgrade. So I also think I was telling Dad this, and I don't know how much you could really look into this, but just the way the executive team of DraftKings are, I can envision them getting more deals like the ESPN deal as opposed to Penn, who, don't get me wrong, I love Portnoy. He's entertaining. He's going to keep crushing it. But he's always got that edgy, controversial personality to him. And sometimes that's going to turn them off from getting some of those partnerships just because that's the card he plays.
Yeah, I don't know if he acts that way when he's in private meetings, though. He could be.
That's all his play. It's all his play.
Of course, he doesn't work that way, but you still have companies that just know the image that he brings to the table, like him and Roger Mattel. Like, he's got this whole the NFL mentality. DraftKings doesn't, so DraftKings earns all those relationships. And it seems like every day they announce another one. I saw they announced something with the Rockies yesterday.
Yeah, it would be pretty tough for them to get a relationship with the NFL, wouldn't it?
I don't think so. I think they care only about dollars, the color green. If they look at that as a moneymaker, they couldn't care less about personalities. Like, let's be real here, how the NFL operates.
If it was if it was between DraftKings and Barstool, I think DraftKings would win because of Goodell's relationship.
I disagree, actually, on that. I think you have the Stoolies are so powerful with the cult-like following of Portnoy that are all sitting on their couch watching NFL. They care more about that than Goodell. Goodell is not in charge of the NFL. He's a puppet.
Yeah. Well, Dad, have you made any trades last couple days? The other thing, before you answer that, I saw the cruises. Barclays upgraded the cruises to overweight this morning. And those will be an interesting line to follow. I always watch Royal Caribbean. I don't ever actually do anything with it, but I see they're up pretty nice this morning. I'm sure the rest of them are too. So.
Yeah, it's so difficult to pick the timing, but you can make a lot of money being in and out of these cruise. I mean, put it all together. Cruises, airlines, Boeing, kind of the same group. Which one gives you the most leverage? It seems to be the cruises or the individual airlines like Spirit or American. But it's all timing, really, because it's not a long-term trade at this point. Unless you're looking way out. And I'm still concerned some of these companies go bankrupt, still exist, but the stock becomes worth a lot less. And I think unless you're doing a quick trade, I'd stay away. Having said that, Boeing, I saw an article today that Europe is going to probably approve the MAX sometime in November. So there's more and more of that coming up. And boy, that stock
acts bad.
Acts bad, and it had 2 big upgrades in the last 3 days.
I don't know
what's going on.
I also saw that their supplier for the Boeing 737 filed for bankruptcy, or I guess bankruptcy protection. I don't really know the difference. But
yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about with some of these names. It'll still exist, but they can't pay their bills, and it's not good for the equity holders. So when they reorganize, they get to not pay a lot of those bills and still exist, but the stock is usually worthless.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting. It looks like Boeing has a little bit of action pre-market, but the stock is, like we just said, not really been doing well.
Yeah, I still think it's a buy. It's just a scary buy. I mean, I think you'll see it at 200 again, but I don't know when.
When they start getting downgrades. That's what we need. I'm starting to just see downgrades lead to stocks going up. It's really unbelievable.
Well, that's how the street works.
Yeah, I know. You go against what people are throwing at you because they're trying to, kind of deceive people.
Yeah, the perfect example of that is Nikola. I saw Dan Ives on yesterday, who I like from Wedbush, who downgraded the stock to 15. And it was just a couple of months ago that they initiated with a price target of 45. So,
well, things have drastically changed for Nikola.
Yeah, I know. But the fact is that the analysts and even the good ones can get caught on the wrong side of these things.
Or they do it purposely. I don't trust a lot of these analysts. Like, what's in their best interest?
Well, yeah, the Twitter thing was the interesting one, in my opinion, because they got the upgrade 2 days ago and obviously went on that massive run. Then the market ended up sliding in the afternoon, so they came back down to even. And then yesterday, I didn't see where they closed, but it looked like they had a big sell-off again where it was almost like that upgrade did nothing. But I guess they are at 43, so it must have done something. Yeah, I mean, Twitter acts well. We've been talking.
The election's coming up. They always act well this time of year during the election, like stretch, because people are going. If you look at how many more people are on Twitter, it's great for them. With this whole Breonna Taylor thing, like I'm going through all our markets Insta stories. It's crazy how many people are reposting tweets on Instagram. So naturally, that can't be bad for Twitter.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, the other stock that we always talk about on here that can't seem to make up its mind is Microsoft.
Yeah, I think it's acting okay. It's just the problem with Microsoft and Apple is they've come down enough, but they're also a source of funds for people that need to take profits and raise money. And so you're fighting that all the time because they're.
I will tell you with Microsoft, Dan. I sent you offline this morning that Gary Vee thing on LinkedIn. I'm seeing firsthand they own LinkedIn, Microsoft, and I think it's a hidden gem that is not talked about on the street at all. They are turning into an absolute behemoth. Instagram is starting to decline with engagement, and I think that's very big news for Microsoft. That should not be taken lightly at all.
Yeah, Microsoft will be fine. So,
Very fine. When you look at the ad revenue potential on LinkedIn that hasn't even been touched yet, it's remarkable. They just started betaing the live video streams. Like I'm really bullish on their future. That was a great acquisition.
It's my biggest position, so I would love to see. Yeah.
Well, LinkedIn is turning into an absolute beast. They were trying to figure out for a while what was going on, and it's making a lot of sense now. It's starting to really pick up steam.
Yeah, that was a good point there with the reminder about LinkedIn and Microsoft. I kind of overlooked the fact that Microsoft even owned LinkedIn.
Most people do. They don't even think about it.
Which is
crazy.
Yeah, because that's a huge social media site.
Game changing. It's unbelievable. It's really, even during this pandemic, I think it's made it even more popular.
And then
that's probably one of the reasons they wanted TikTok.
Yeah. Looking back, I didn't even think about that at the time. 100%. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have a level where you might pick some pen up? Because, I mean, mine's probably way lower than this.
Not here. I love pen. Like, I'm a huge Portnoy fan, but I just cannot stomach getting in here.
Well, did they price the deal yet?
Yeah, I think it was priced at 66.
Wow. So you have a lot of people who are underwater on that deal. That's crazy.
Yeah, let me
see if you can find the price, because that's really surprising to me. But given the volatility in the stock, can't be too surprised. The level I have for Penn is somewhere around 58.5 to 59,
which could easily hit today.
Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable level, and then after that, you want to go down to the 50-day, which is 51.02 right now, going every day. So they may meet somewhere around 53, let's say.
Yeah, I'd say it's tough to imagine Penn going down that hard, but when you think about it, like a few months ago, when they kind of they obviously had their big run, but then when they started to slip after Portnoy and Nardini came on Mad Money that one night and got it up 16%, that was kind of it for Penn for 2.5, 3 months.
Right. But you say it's hard to imagine it down there. It was there 2 weeks ago.
69, Dad.
Wow, that's something. So everyone who got that secondary is underwater. Now, a lot of the people that bought it were probably short the stock, and that took another buyer out of the market. So a lot of these hedge funds that were short Penn, I'm sure got a lot of that secondary.
Yeah, and the stock has obviously gone on a massive run from $3.75. It's up 170% year to date through Wednesday.
Yeah, so 69 is the level that you want to sell it on the way up for sure, given that that's the resistance now. But yeah, it's hard to play it unless it gets into the mid 50s.
Mid 50s, not 59, but mid 50s.
Well, 59 is a support level, but I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, 57.50 seems like it's more where there's been a lot of action, but we'll see, because this market, this stock has gone on such an incredible run. It wouldn't shock me if it comes down to 40.
Yeah, it's possible, obviously. Good for the company raising $1 billion or whatever the number was at 69. It's a gift.
Yeah, and to switch gears here, I know we've talked about this Voozy company a couple times. I think today might be the day I buy some, because I missed out the last time it made that run to like 480, and I told myself next time it gets below 4, I'm gonna play it for a swing trade like I used to with Plug back in the day before it went on the rocket ship that it did. And here it is this morning at 394. This seems like a stock where if the market gets excited and has a day where it rallies hard, this stock seems to just go up a ton, and obviously sells off a ton on bad days. So it seems like a good swing trade.
Yeah, 369 is 100-day on that stock.
What's the 50?
The 50 is 401, so I would look to see it recapture that for sure.
Yeah, so almost don't even be a buyer unless it gets over 401, just to share.
Better off buying it right above 4, but otherwise down at 369. And look, this stock moves, 80 cents sometimes in a day when it has a run, and you got to be out there selling stock. You could see it's happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's had huge runs in the last month.
And every time there's been massive volume spikes with clearly real buyers stepping in and taking a swing.
And the fundamentals behind it are interesting. They've got a very solid technology for smart glasses. So
it feels like this stock could really break through 5 here soon, like with conviction, and just get to a new level.
Yeah, there's so many though that have those kind of situations out there that are exciting, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the only one right now that, obviously you guys know my views on Waiter. That's another one that's just interesting to watch, because I don't want to say it's in the same boat, but like the stock's at 318 right now, and I don't like to mess around with Waiter because we're already in the industry, but it's tough to imagine this stock doesn't get acquired. And obviously, Dad, you make up whenever I bring that up, you're like, yeah, but you just don't know what the price will be. The stock was at 420 like a week ago and pushed almost 5. It's definitely an interesting one for people trying to play the cheaper names. There's no doubt about it. But
yeah, it doesn't really get any solid support till it gets down to 240, right? It's in a free fall right now.
It really is. This thing was at 574 in August. Yeah, it's come down almost a full 50%. That's wild.
Yeah, you got to figure, like when we looked at it, there were a lot of people looking at the chart of a stock like this and seeing the upside, and then nothing happens, and they're all caught holding the bag. And
yeah, for sure.
It just has nothing but air under it.
And then Tesla sitting at 396 this morning, which is still big time for them. They might, they might get back into rally mode here and never really give the levels that I think a lot of people are hoping to pounce. I think everyone feels like they missed out on this Tesla run. Everyone wants to get in for the next one. And
I'm waiting for more of a pullback still.
So what's the number you'd get in?
I don't know. I don't know why I have not been able to, ever since that Greg bet I made back when we first got in the market, I've just been scarred from jumping on Tesla. That kid cost me probably $100,000 in profits from not, I mean, I love the kid, but I don't know why I have not been in that, because I was a huge Tesla fan from day one.
Yeah, I'd like to see it retrace all the way back to the high 200s, but I don't know if you get it.
Anyone, if you want to hit up Chori, he could tell you the moguls that he hates. Those are the stocks you want to buy. He's obviously a very sharp kid, but Zillow, Tesla, I don't know what it is with these pioneers in him.
Because what happens is everyone looks at the fundamentals and the reality of the earnings, and they forget everything else. And when you look at the earnings potentials for all these companies that are high flying, everything has to go perfectly right for the company to get to the point where the stocks are a reasonable value.
For sure. I just think when we always talk about it, there's always exceptions to that rule, Dad. I'm sure you could bring up a few from your experience the last few decades where, you have companies that just are doing things that don't even revolve around looking at that with what they're planning on getting into. So Zillow, like you said they got upgrades. That's a prime example of that. It's hard to look back at their earnings and be like, oh, what's going on here? This is getting ridiculous.
Well, look, there's no doubt that there's a lot of people that believe that the real estate market is going to be revolutionized because the cost of a transaction has been so high for so long, and every other transaction in the world has come down hard.
Well, and I'll give you a prime example, right? I was checking out apartments in New York the other day. I was telling you guys, thinking about getting on a lease, and this guy that showed me the apartment never even sent me the application. It's like he couldn't care less because the system's broken. So when you think about it, you have a broker showing like luxury buildings that can they're turning it into a co-op where I would have the opportunity to buy it. He's just not even following up with me. So it shows that industry is clearly getting revolutionized when you have the people in the industry not even motivated to push it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if that's like throughout, I think you can get a realtor who's all over you every
No, but I think it comes down to not being motivated because the lack of a broker fee, and that's what Zillow is doing now.
Yeah, I mean, look, my views on them, and any company or app that has the attention of the consumer the way Zillow does, you got to think has a bright road ahead of them. Like,
I'll tell you one thing though. When the real estate market heads down, and it will because it always does, and Zillow's nationwide, so there's going to be down years. This stock will get hit very hard when the real estate market is negative.
It was interesting, though, because their target raise this morning, the headline was Zillow raises home price growth outlook even as sales are set to gradually decline. So it's almost like they're projecting what you're saying, but they're still bullish.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the stock is going to stay up there. I mean, I think this stock has had a hyperbolic move because of their CEO, who's visionary like Elon Musk.
And he's a genius,
and
Richard Martin. Let's look back at his track record.
It's still a matter of can they make money doing this. The stock lost money last quarter.
Well, keep in mind, they have two revenue models.
I understand that, but we don't know at the end of the day in a down real estate market how that model is going to work.
I mean, I think you have to keep in mind, though, that people are shifting gears a lot on moving, and they're moving out of cities. They're buying properties in different places.
Yeah, that's now.
No, but Dad, even saying that, when you look at how many eyeballs they're getting on their platform, the advertising that comes with that is insane.
No question. And that's all in a bullish real estate market.
I don't think so. I think the Zillow is set up for a bullish or a bearish real estate market. I think that's
their model is to buy real estate when it's bearish. When things are bad, then it's going to be very difficult for them to make money on that.
I think you're forgetting about that. Their part of their appeal as an investor is their house flipping ability and being able to make transactions way more seamless. When you look at a stock, for example, we get in and out of stocks like sipping water. That's been impossible in real estate forever.
No,
and you see now.
I get all that, but when they're buying a house from somebody, which is one of their models, and the real estate market is heading down rather than up, it's almost impossible for them to make money on that house unless they're buying it way in the hole.
I don't think so.
I disagree with conversations because, like Dad always says, this is what makes markets.
No, I know, but I think Dad has been confused about Zillow. I mean, Dad's extremely intelligent with stocks, but I think that he is kind of misunderstanding their model as a whole here.
Well, Dad, let me ask you about a different chart here because I know you brought them up off the show. But Plug, I know we've talked about them a lot. They got over 14. Now they're down to 11.25. Their chart looks similar to a lot of other charts, but
I think one of the things that's gone on with Plug and kind of what we missed early on because we got out early in our initial position is the amount of mutual funds that are buying these green companies, and obviously Plug is considered one of those, and there's a premium for those names. And obviously, if Biden wins, who knows what kind of credits companies like Plug can get that'll help their earnings. So, yeah, I think Plug's a buy now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but I don't know what level. I'm not sure if you start here or you got to wait for like 9.5.
Then I'll be getting back in that with you.
But it's definitely one to keep on the radar, especially if Biden wins. This could be one of those names that gets an extra lift from that. And don't forget, their big contracts are with Amazon. And Amazon is also a company that is frowned upon by the Trump administration, right?
So, yeah, you would think a Biden win is bullish for Amazon.
Yeah, I do.
And then, I mean, quick touch on the markets here. It looks like it could be another slippery day. The only thing that's green is tech, but hardly. And Dad, early on when we first started investing, you said to always look at the DAX because it's going to give you a handle on what the market might do here. And the DAX looks real ugly today. I know it hasn't closed yet, but what are your overall thoughts on the market today?
Yeah, I mean, it's Friday. Here we go again, right? And you gotta keep that in mind. But everyone always brings that up. I think it's helpful that the NASDAQ is holding up because that means that people are really churning it here. It's a two-way market right now in NASDAQ. It's not all for sale. So that should hold the market up. I don't think these stocks are going to get hit hard again.
It's kind of unbelievable how every night, if you look at the futures, it's the complete opposite when you wake up. Like yesterday, again, last night, futures pointed to a pretty high market. And this morning, it was a complete CRA. It looks like things are starting to come around. But, every day it's been such a roller coaster in the markets that it's anybody's guess what it's going to do.
Yeah, so I just saw a quick thing on CNBC that Caesars is the one looking to buy William Hill. So that's why it's kind of interesting to think about DraftKings in one of the big casinos like Las Vegas Sands.
Yeah, and I still think
I don't even know if that's possible because Las Vegas Sands have got a lot of issues that they're dealing with just, with money going out the door every day. I think it's costing Wynn $2 million a day in Macau right now to stay in business. So, there's a lot going on in the background.
Well, it's just about the end of our show, guys. The last thing I'll say is Flutter Entertainment is the other stock that I know we've talked about. They own FanDuel, and the ticker on that is PDYPY. They're up nice this morning too. Probably on just that whole thing. You know, it seems like they kind of move a little with DraftKings, but no one ever talks about this stock. And from my vantage point, when I was doing the fantasy gambling stuff, I don't do it right now, but I've always used FanDuel. So I keep going back to that. And
I only use FanDuel. DraftKings won't even let me back on their site. I've tried. So they lost me as a customer permanently.
So there you go. It seems
and
like
I've had way more luck on FanDuel. Again, last night, this close to winning very big. Like very, very big. I was in 6th place very deep last night. There's one of these days I'm going to win like 200 grand in a $5 entry, guaranteed.
that would be sick. We'll wrap it up on that comment right there.
Boom, baby.